As part of our series on Meet Your Councillor, it's my pleasure to introduce Gary Oosterhof from Countryside District.
Yes.
And you don't need an introduction. You've been councillor for how many terms now?
I'm halfway through my third term. Yes.
Your third term, yeah. So
Really
everybody knows you certainly. And I was looking at a map of the city, and Countryside is probably equal in size to all the others put together.
Yes.
Is that?
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah.
What are the boundaries?
Well, basically it's a 401 from Loyalist all the way to Gananoque border. So and up to Sealy's Bay. So 900 or something kilometers of roads, really large, and might have said that wrong, but a lot of roads, but it's great. Yeah, I love I know it all. I know every road. Maybe I still hear a new road every now and then.
No, and how many people would live in that large?
I believe I serve 12,000.
12,000.
That's what they try to do, 12 times 12, whatever, for the councillors. Yeah.
And how many? What's the breakdown? There's some that are full out farms.
Yeah, we have a really diverse community, of course, with the key communities, Elginburg and Glen Burnie and Joyceville, and then you have your farming community, large farms to the west, right, and up north to Sealy's Bay. There's a lot of terrific farmland out there, and a lot of good things happening there. So yeah, farms, and I think with the economic development, we've got over 300 businesses in my community.
And you've got businesses, and then there's probably little subdivisions, and there's rows of houses along the roads with big fields behind them. And all
the river community, I say river, but they're pretty proud of that, all the way to the Gan border. Just love the river, and we have a lot of homes along there too. People forget about and how far it actually goes.
Right, cottages.
Yeah.
You pretty much cover everything, and I bet a lot of people would be surprised to know that we have farms within the city of Kingston.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Terrific farms, and which we get. I always say I enjoy the boardroom, and I can walk through a barnyard as well.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I think people don't understand what's different about living in a rural community, and the reason I can speak from authority in a sense. I lived in Thurlow, which is north of Belleville, and we were amalgamated with the city of Belleville. So we went from, in fact, one of the things that was we had no debt in Thurlow. And of course, when we were forced to amalgamate with Belleville, we were forced to take on...
Very interesting.
That was that. There was a whole bunch of things that happened. And I think they didn't understand that there are specific needs when you are a rural ward.
Yes.
What have you discovered where you're sitting there and maybe members of the public, maybe even other councillors saying, oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've run into?
Well, it's a really great question. I could go on for a long time about that, the things I've learned since the first idea to run as a councillor. But rural is a unique culture on its own, and I actually know and respect that the urban areas are very distinct as well, actually, and can be celebrated. And I do celebrate the rural life and the pride that we have in more of a sustainable mindset, actually, and that's really something that is often forgotten. But what in the rural area, you have to, you don't get the same kind of internet, but I guess you do now. Bell has made its inroads and that. So those were struggles at first. Like in the last term, we really worked, did a lot with high speed and trying to get the people up, especially during the pandemic. Right. A lot of needs arose that you could see a lot of stress for people and staying home. And there is some remoteness as well in our area. So you're dealing with accessibility issues and that. So yeah, it is very diverse, and you have to have a really open mind. But generally, I find people in the rural area are problem solvers. They know when they are north of the 401 that things and they're proud of that. And that's a really cool part of our lives that we all share.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah. I remember one was a noise bylaw, and not realizing that often farmers will run their tractors like well into the night using.
Yes.
That was one that came up.
Yeah, that's a
And-
good one. Yeah, I don't recall noise. That's a really good. I do know that we have had the fire issues, fire bans, or, and so we had to recognize with fire that farmers burn their brush and clear fences, and so that was one example. I could probably have a lot, but certainly. I don't recall. We do have the big tractors now, yeah, but no one's ever. I love the sound personally, so I probably wouldn't do much.
Exactly. and spreading manure and all that. Hey, it smells like money to me.
Yeah.
That's the way I always look at it. But people that.
Good one.
What happens with people that move from, let's say, downtown Kingston, and now they're going to have the home of their dreams, and they build a beautiful home in the middle of. And
yes.
what are some of the things that?
Yeah, surprisingly, that's I think about that. I think they actually see that more in the South Frontenac. I hear about that, and I'm engaged with a lot of councillors there. But I don't know why that is, but I have not had a concern brought to you from an urban mindset. Lightly, maybe, but I think it's different today. I think people in my area, they literally started a garden. They really have the mentality coming in that it's a different, a mindset in the rural area. So, wow, that you threw that. I have not had a complaint about that.
That's good, because I think maybe internet and our accessibility to information has made a big difference. But I remember one was they wanted street lights. Suddenly, they needed a street light.
That's common.
That was one.
Yeah.
And the rest, we're looking at saying, well, hang on a minute, there's, this is the country, and we don't want.
We like dark.
We like dark. That's part of the appeal, so you can see the stars and things. So
yes, that's
yeah,
very true.
it was those kinds of things. And what do you think people who live in the middle of downtown Kingston, what do we get wrong about what it's like living in those areas?
Oh, wow, that's another good question. What do we get wrong?
Misunderstand.
I wish I had a better answer. I think that there's a lot of similarities. Is that you're proud of where you live.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to take it from urban, because I also have gotten to know the urban area. I am a countryside person that lives and breathes rural, everything I do, and so I know I relate well. But I also relate well to the urban area because the city is urban centric. And so, but I do think that, even though we have a dichotomy that exists, because we live in the countryside and we don't want you to be involved in our lives, and then we have the other side is, well, you forgot about us.
Right.
And that's what I kind of deal with a little bit, and maybe a little bit in my own life that way, so because I think that people, they'll say, well, we pay too high taxes for the less services, and I have to explain that doesn't even work that way, So I think though that things are reversing, because rural homes are really expensive now, and that means our taxes are going up, and it's not even a city thing, it is because the value of your home has gone up.
Right.
And so, we're thinking this way, but, and it's also a good investment. But, so, people do like the space, in Glen Burnie we have the best store in the city, and
it's a wonderful
or in the area,
store.
And then we have the greenhouses and, the Foreman Farm out in Seeley's Bay area. So there's a lot of little treasures out there. And so I think maybe that's what people might forget a little bit. But, it's really beautiful, and it's a close-knit community, and it's something that it really is a special part of the city.
It absolutely is, and I think people don't realize that this area is part of the city of Kingston. I know you're municipal, I get that, but other levels of government, Ontario, Canada, what would you like to see done differently from their perspective when it comes to rural communities?
Yeah, that's a really great question. One of the things that really frustrates me from the very beginning is that because our rural area is a part of a fairly large urban, it's called large urban Kingston, we don't have access to some of the grants available for businesses. And I have been actually knocking on that door, sorry, but carrying that file for a long time. And I think that there every now and then, through, Holly at the city, she's government relations, we're making some headway, but not nearly fast enough for me. In economic development, which I serve on, I think there's some progress, but I do think that we should be able to, entrepreneurs and all that in the rural area. I'm all about sustainability. I'm all about food, food sovereignty for ourselves and that. So I wish that we could actually have inroads there and have that same access to funds that remote areas around us have access to.
Right, got it. So we put your contact information up on the screen, your email, the best way to reach you through the city. So that's best way for people.
Email is great. I mean, ultimately you can go in the city and get my phone number as well. But I do my best. It's always amazing when you're in a group and someone says you never answered my email. Well, I'm not perfect at all. I do hundreds and hundreds of emails, and I have so many files going. But everyone is important to me, from roads to healthcare, all the things that you're looking to provide for people. And it's funny, I've always thought that for certain departments should have an ombudsman or something in a city, and then I realized the other day, I'm kind of like that.
You are,
absolutely. I do that. I do connect the dots. I can't always do it right away, but if someone throws at me, it might be 2 months later, I'll say, I found the answer. And I love finding answers for people.
It's a real thrill, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, too, for inviting me. I really enjoy it.